Welcome in for another edition of the Morning Espresso here on the SDH Network, brought to you by Oglethorpe University, Atlanta's premier undergraduate learning experience and soccer powerhouse. I'm Jason Longshore, and let's get caught up on all the soccer news you need to know for Monday, February 10th. Atlanta United preseason action from the weekend. Hopefully, you had a chance to check out the broadcast from Bradenton. It was a good win for Atlanta, a 2-0 win over New England. The goals from Jamal Tiare off of a free kick from Alexei Miranchuk. Mateusz Klich with a recycled effort that he was able to put home after a shot was cleared off of the line. Miguel Almirón started, played into the second half. Atlanta United players went about 60 minutes or so in this one, or past 60 minutes or so in this one. A little bit more than that. Not quite as much as New England. They played a little bit longer. They had one more preseason game under their belt. Um, Almiron was very active. It was interesting to watch how Almiron, Miranchuk, Saba were all kind of trying to find space. And sometimes, look, they were in the same spaces, which isn't always a bad thing. You know, offensively, Ronny Deila talked about it afterwards. You want to give those players the freedom on the offensive side. And if that means they come together and combine in a short space, that's okay, as long as you can produce something out of it the other way. Where you have to be really disciplined positionally is defensively. You have to get back to manning your area of the field. And I thought Miguel handled the combination of the two really well. I thought you saw really good defensive performance overall from Atlanta United. Chemistry in the attack is going to come. I think you saw flashes of it at times. But Miranchuk, Saba, Almiron, and very soon Latte Lath, they're going to have to play together. They're going to have to figure out, what kind of runs does Miguel make instinctually? What kind of ball does Miranchuk deliver to these guys? Where is he going to drop in to help the team build up? Where do the others go when he does that? Those sorts of things come from time. You can do some patterns and things that you work on, but guys fall back to instinct in moments where teams are pressing them like New England did, and you got to figure it out on the fly. You have to get to know everyone's instincts as best you can. That just comes with time on the training pitch, time in games. Latte Lath could join the team in training early this week. Brooks Lennon is also training with the team right now. I'm not sure how much on the contact side he's involved with coming back from that shoulder surgery, but he's maybe a little ahead of schedule, and that's a good thing for Atlanta United. Stian Gregersen did not play on Saturday. He should be back in contention to play on Wednesday when they play FC Cincinnati, and that will be the last match from Bradenton Wednesday afternoon. Let's get into some news from around the world. A couple of upsets. Plymouth Argyle, they upset Liverpool in the FA Cup. The quadruple attempt is no more for the Reds. Plymouth Argyle's bottom of the championship. There were a ton of rotations for Liverpool in this game. They end up losing it. 44 league place gap between Plymouth Argyle and Liverpool. The gap in wage bills, somewhere around $434 million. The last time Plymouth beat the boys from Anfield was 1956. Plymouth's manager, Miran Muslich, who took over from Wayne Rooney, he said he planned on celebrating by going home, rewatching the game, and, quote, eating some nachos and drinking a Fanta. Okay. I guess that's good enough. Uh, we went one better in terms of upsets in Scotland. Second tier Queen's Park upset Rangers in the Scottish Cup. Rangers got a penalty that was kind of dubious in the 5th minute of stoppage time, and it was saved. This is the first time that Queen's Park has beaten Rangers since 1882. Yeah, very embarrassing for Rangers as they are now out of the Scottish Cup. Very embarrassing penalty given to ATLUTD in the Madrid derby. It finished 1-1, and Real Madrid, we talked about it last week, came into the game with all the talk about referees being against them and all kinds of tabloid-esque things. The league fired back. It's a mess. This penalty didn't help. It's one of those calls that, look, it came from video assistant referee too, as well. It was not called on the field. Can you justify the call? And this is where I always try to get into this conversation when it comes to referee decisions. Can you justify it? Yeah, you can on paper in a vacuum. Sure, there was contact. The player was late to the ball. If you want to call that, you can. But I think anybody who's really played the game and has been around it at a high level doesn't want that penalty given because, and we've seen this too often, and I feel like we've made a little bit of progress on this. If the defender is late to a challenge and connects with the attacking player and fouls them when they're going to goal, no problem. When the ball is gone and there's contact after it, it feels different. It should feel different. I think we've gotten to that point where the attacker who knocks the ball sideways to just get hit and draw a penalty, that's starting to be frowned upon, starting to not be given on a regular basis. This is one of those instructional things that has to be done, I think, for referees around the world. We shouldn't want this to be given as a penalty, in my opinion. I don't think we want what feels like inconsequential contact to the game. The ball is not at the player's feet. They're not going to score here. There is contact because the ball is gone. You're not giving back a goal scoring opportunity here. You're looking for something to give. And that shouldn't be what we're talking about in this game. I think it's a bad call. Yes, you can justify it, and I'm sure you can point to language in the laws of the game to justify giving it. And that's fine. None of us should want that given. And if we need to clean up some of the laws of the game, well, it's probably time because some of these have been there since Queens Park last beat Rangers. Like we can update these things based off the way the game is being played in the modern era. So hopefully that will be the case. Real Madrid did come back and get a goal. They finish 1-1. They keep their 1 point lead over ATLUTD at the top of the table. Barcelona won big 4-1 over Sevilla. So now they're only 2 points back, 2 points separating three teams at the top of La Liga. Christian Pulisic, he's tied for the most assists in Serie A, set up both goals in Milan's 2-0 win at Empoli. Rafael Leao and recent Mexican arrival Santiago Jimenez scored the goals, 8 assists for Pulisic this season. That puts Milan into 7th place. They're still 4 points out, 4 points away from the European spots. Couple of updates from South America. River Plate 2-0 win over previously unbeaten Independiente in the Argentine League. And over in Uruguay, it was a Clásico weekend. Nacional and Peñarol 1-1 draw in the second game of the season for both teams. Some MLS updates for you now as silly season continues on for some leagues in the world. The LA Galaxy have acquired midfielder Lucas Sanabria from Uruguayan powerhouse Nacional. That was announced on Saturday. U22 initiative signing. Colorado Rapids have acquired midfielder Ali Fadal from Valencia. He's been with the reserve team, but he played soccer in the United States for Monteverde Academy before going to Valencia's academy in 2022. Omar Gonzalez, longtime veteran center back, he has signed with the Chicago Fire for a season. He was a free agent. Brandon Craig, another free agent, he signed with Montreal on a 1-year deal with options for 26, 27, and 28. Still on the silly season side of things, not done yet. Edward Atuesta to Orlando from Palmeiras is apparently now going to happen after Orlando increased their offer to Palmeiras. Benjamin Rohiser, who we talked about as potentially coming to MLS, Dallas was chasing it. Looks like he's going to go to Botafogo in Brazil, where he'd essentially be the Thiago Almada replacement there. Mateus Nascimento is headed to the LA Galaxy from Botafogo on loan. That's going to be a 1-year loan. There could be triggers in the deal to make it an obligation to purchase. The 20-year-old, 12 goals in 96 games for the club. He broke through as a 16-year-old, but he hasn't been a regular factor for Botafogo over the years since breaking through a few years ago. A couple of silly things as we're in still some silly season in some parts of the world. Alessandro Nesta, he was sacked as manager of Monza in December in Italy. He's now been rehired a couple months later because, yeah, I have nothing for you. Adana Demirspor in Turkey, their president has resigned after his team abandoned their Turkish Super League match against Galatasaray on Sunday. Penalty given to Galatasaray. Dries Mertens was adjudged by referee to have been fouled in the area by a defender. wasn't overturned by the video assistant referee. The president's orders to leave the pitch were passed on to the head coach and the players, and that resulted in the game being abandoned in the 32nd minute. We talked about the penalty that was given to ATLUTD. This was not that. This one is more of a judgment call, more of a 50-50 decision, and sometimes those are going to go against you. This was not the same conversation about penalties, though. And now you're starting to see, specifically in Turkey, where there's a lot of talk about corruption with referees and a lot of talk about conspiracies and things. You're seeing teams walk off the field when they don't get calls. That is absolutely not where we want this stuff to go. Even the one with Atleti and Real Madrid. Again, could you justify it? Yeah. This one in Turkey was just maybe a bad call, maybe not. Maybe just a tough decision to go against you. Stop with the silliness of walking off the field. The president has resigned after ordering the team to do that. One league in Europe that has two teams unbeaten at this stage of the season. Only one. It's Gibraltar. And they're still unbeaten after playing each other on the weekend. The Lincoln Red Imps and St. Joseph's, they played yesterday, top of the table clash. They drew 0-0. So they are both still unbeaten at this stage of the season in Europe. That's it for today on the Espresso. You can watch the live show, SDH AM, at 9:05. John Nelson will hold everything down there. Plenty of conversation about all of this and more. You can watch on YouTube. You can watch on X. You can watch on Twitch. And I'll be back tomorrow morning with a little more espresso as we're getting closer to the MLS regular season opener and a big re-debut for Miguel Almirón and a debut for Latte Lath at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on February 22nd.